All right, guys, hello, and welcome to 3-4A, Graphing Inequalities. Okay, so we're going to look at the very basics of graphing inequalities and what an inequality is. So if we take a look at our I can statement, it says, I can graph simple inequalities even if they are written in word form. That means that we are going to have to solve word problems, everybody's favorite. Okay, our agenda, we're going to look at definitions, important facts, and example problems. Okay, so let's get with it. So an inequality shows how two values are not equal. So for example, 4 does not equal 2. 4 is greater than 2. Okay, it is greater than 2 right here. So that is a symbol of an inequality. You have your greater than, you have greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to use inequalities with a variable, though. And one way to show an inequality is to graph it. So here's what I mean by that. We're going to have inequalities like this. We're going to have x is less than 2. Okay? X is less than 2. What that means is x can be any single number that is less than 2. It could be 1, 0, negative 1, negative 100, negative 150, negative 1/2. Negative 1.725. It can be any number possible. Okay? We don't know what it is, but we know that x has to be less than 2. Okay? Now let's go over and look to see how we're going to graph these. Okay? So we have an open point versus the fill point. Okay? So what that means is if we look for our first example, we have x is less than 4, and we also have the inequality x is less than or equal to 4. Okay? The way we graph both of these is going to be just very, very slightly different. Okay? With x is less than 4, I need to find my 4 on my number line. Here's 4 on my number line. Okay? Now that I have 4 on the number line, what I need to do is I need to put an open circle on 4. An open circle. Okay? The reason why I did an open circle is because it's less than, not less than or equal to. Now, because x is less than 4, I'm going to shade. That includes everything to the left, and it goes on forever. Okay? Everything to the left of 4 goes on forever, but not including 4. And that's why I put an open circle on 4. That indicates that x cannot be 4. It has to be less than 4. Okay? Now, if we go to less than or equal to 4, we're going to do this. It has to be shaded to the left of 4, but the only difference is we're going to do a closed circle on 4. What that symbolizes is that we are including 4 as well, because x can be equal to 4. It is less than or equal to, but it has to be less than or equal to 4. So that means this closing circle means that we are including 4 in it. Okay. One quick little way I like to remember these, okay, to remember which one has an open circle, which one has a closed circle, is I have these faces I like to draw. Okay. So here's my less than, here's my greater than signs. Okay. There's my open circle, and it has a dashed line for amount. You'll use that later on. And if I wanted to do another face to show me the other way, here's my greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. There's its closed circle, and there's its mean face right there. Okay, this one looks like more like a football player. It's got the black lines under its eyes. Okay, so I like to draw these faces, and that helps me remember that closed circles goes with greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Okay. So here we go. I have an inequality of y is greater than or equal to negative 2. So what I want to do is I want to graph this on the number line. So the first thing I need to do is I need to find negative 2 on my number line. And here's negative 2 right here. Okay? So now that I have my negative 2, I need to decide, do I need to put an open or closed circle? Okay? Well, because I have greater than or equal to, let's remember that face I made. So let's see. It was a closed circle, okay, greater than or equal to. So I'm going to put a closed circle on 2, negative 2. Now I have to determine whether I need to shade, if it's going to be every number to the left of negative 2 or to the right of negative 2. Because y is greater than or equal to negative 2, if I plug in 0, for example, if I substitute in 0 is greater than or equal to negative 2, is 0 a bigger number than negative 2? And I hope you're saying this with me. The answer is yes, it is. So that means that satisfies this inequality. And that means that we shade to the right because that's the side that 0 is on. Okay? So all of these values are true, and this goes on infinitely. That's why I make sure I put this arrow on the end, because this goes on forever. Okay? So this would be my graph for y is greater than or equal to -2. I have another inequality. -1 is less than x, which is also less than 5. So first, let's just start with -1 is less than x. Let's break this up into two different inequalities. I have -1 is less than x. I also have the inequality of x is less than 5. Okay, so let's just worry about this first inequality. Okay, -1 is less than x. So let's find my -1. I need to determine, do I have an open or closed circle on -1? Because it is just less than, there's no or equal to sign, -1 is not included. X cannot be it. So I'm going to put an open circle on -1. Okay? And if once we put an open circle, we can look, if we shade to the left or to the right, if x is greater than -1, okay, let's plug in 1 for x and see if that satisfies it. -1 is less than 1. That is true. Okay, so that means that I will shade to the right. Okay, so x is this represents x. I'm sorry, -1 is less than x. That's that first graph. Now let's look at a second graph here. Okay, let's switch to red. I have x is less than 5. First thing I need to do is go to 5 and determine if I need an open or closed circle. Because it's just less than, I'm going to use an open circle. Okay. Now, x is less than 5. So 4, 3, 2, and 1, these are all less than 5. So I'm actually going to shade to the left. My solution is where these two solutions overlap. And if you look, it's just going to be right in between here. Okay? Even though this red solution, x is less than 5, goes on forever, okay, it only intersects with the other solution right here. So here is my solution to the graph. And I'm done. That's it. Okay? So this is all these possibilities can be x right here. Everything that's shaded, every value that's shaded in this number line between -1 and 5 is a possibility for x. Okay. Now one more problem. We're going to write an inequality from this word problem. No more than 50 people were in the lunchroom. Okay. No more than 50 people. Because in saying no more than, that means that there is a possibility. This is very important right here. No more than. That means that there is a possibility, though, that there were 50 people in there. But there weren't more than 50 people. So that means we know we're going to have an or equal to. Okay? It's going to be or equal to. So now he's got to determine where my x goes and where my 50 goes. Because there is no more than 50 people, okay, x has to be less than or equal to 50. Because if I were to plug in 49 to this inequality, just to check to see if this makes sense, 49 is no more than 50. Okay? 49 is less than or equal to 50. But if I plugged in 51 to this inequality, because that's not true. Okay? That's why it wouldn't work. Because there's no more than 50 people, here's my inequality. So I wrote my inequality because of this keyword no more than, which means it has to be less than or equal to. Okay? Now we can graph it. Well, if we notice on my graph right here, I don't have any numbers. Well, I can just fill in my numbers for myself. I'm just going to start at 50 because that's what I want to graph anyways. Let's start at 50. I'll indicate here's 49. Here's 51. Okay? Now let's graph it. Okay, I'll use green. I have to determine whether I'm using an open or a closed circle. I'm going to use a closed circle on 50. And I'm going to do it above the graph this time just so we can see our values and we can see our graph. So I'll do a closed circle above 50. And I guess I have to determine whether I'm going to shade to the left of the graph or to the right. And because x is less than or equal to 50, I'm going to shade to the left. Okay, and then that would be the graph of this inequality right here. X is less than or equal to 50. Okay, and that's it, you guys. Okay, so you just determine whether it is an open or a closed circle. Okay, and then you determine which way you need to shade. And that's how we graph inequalities. Okay, real quick, your number clue for you have one more number clue after this, and then you should be able to tell me what the number is. It is a 3-digit number. It is a 3-digit number. Hope this video was helpful, you guys. Okay, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.